This is an NBC News special report. Here's Savannah Guthrie.
Good morning, everybody. We come on the air as the nation is marking 23 years since the terror attacks of September 11th. Events getting underway this morning across the country to honor and remember the nearly 3,000 people who died already. Leaders gathering at the World Trade Memorial site in Lower Manhattan, which is where we find NBC's Stephanie Gosk as these solemn remembrances get ready to begin. Stephanie, good morning.
Good morning, Savannah. You know, 23 years, and this commemoration really hasn't changed all that much the way that it's held. You still have the 6 bells, the 6 moments of silence, marking when the planes hit the towers, they hit the Pentagon, that field in Pennsylvania, and also, of course, when the towers fell. This is an event that has not just family and firefighters, but also dignitaries. You have the president who's here today. You have both candidates who are running for president. They have arrived along with vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance. He is here as well. You also have the head of the Department of Homeland Security, Alejandro Mayorkas. You'll remember that the Department of Homeland Security exists because of what happened on 9/11. You know, over the years, the message of this ceremony has really broadened because now you have a whole generation of people who are now young adults who were not alive during 9/11. This is a day as much about remembrance as it is about sharing the story of that day. I spoke with the head of the museum and the memorial, who told me that a good portion of her job is reaching that younger generation to share the story. But here in New York City, especially for those people who were here that day, this is a solemn day. It is quiet down here in Lower Manhattan, and it has been there that way every 9/11 for the past 23 years, Savannah.
We pause and remember this morning as we do every year. And as you mentioned, Stephanie, there will be moments of silence observed throughout this morning, signifying those morning's events as they unfolded. The first will happen in about 30 seconds from now, as the time 8:46, when the first plane hit the North Tower of the World Trade Center and thousands died in an instant. We will hear speeches, remembrances, world leaders there, and we will pause now as this moment of silence is observed and the nation remembers.
Right, quick, march. Now.
23 years ago today, a bright blue Tuesday morning when everything changed in 2,977 people lost their lives. And later this morning at that memorial site, those names will be read. Stephanie Gosk, it's always so poignant not only to have each person individually recognized and remembered, often read those names by their family members, their descendants, kids who've now grown up with this, but also the sheer length of time it takes, hours to read each of those names.
Yeah, that's right, Savannah, and they do it every year. And as you say, you know, through the years, you watched spouses do it. You watched children. Now you have the grandchildren that some of those people never even met, and standing up and reading those names. And you know, I have to tell you that even though I have been to the memorial site so many times, I have watched this ceremony so many times, but it is impactful, equally as impactful every time you see it. You hear those bagpipes, you think about how that day started, how it felt like this day, and how every year, especially in September, whether it's 9/11 or throughout the month, when you have a day like this, it's so beautiful, but you cannot help but think about the tragedy of the day and all those lives that were lost, Savannah.
we will never forget. Stephanie Goss, thank you so much for carrying us through this first part of our coverage. We will have much more of today's tributes on our streaming channel, NBC News Now, also online at NBCnews.com. Most of you right now will return to the Today Show. For others, your regularly scheduled program. I'm Savannah Guthrie. This has been an NBC News special report.
Edmiro Abad.
Marie Rose Abad.
Andrew Anthony Abate.